Many people have heard of solar and wind power as clean renewable energy sources, but few have heard of tidal power. The movement of tides generating electricity in the Kimberley could generate enough for the whole of Australia. I'm at the Central TAFE building in East Perth, where non-profit organisation Sustainable Energy Now is hosting a presentation about tidal wave energy. I'm about to meet with Ivan Quayle, who is going to tell us a little bit about the science behind tidal energy as a sustainable source of energy and its potential to power Australia. I'm also going to meet with Mr. John Lewis, who is a pioneer in the subject. Tonight's presentation is all about using tidal power as a renewable energy source. Can you tell us about the science behind that technology?
Yes, certainly. There are two forms of tidal power. One is the horizontal flow of water, which is called tidal stream or kinetic energy. And then there's also tidal range energy, which is the difference in height of between high tide and low tide, which you can capture behind the wall of a dam or a barrage, as it's known. And then when there's a difference in the two levels, you let the water out through turbines and you generate electricity. We up in the Kimberleys on the West Australian coast have, I believe, the largest tidal power resource in the southern hemisphere. It's huge. It really is huge. It can generate 5-6 times more electricity than we currently generate in the whole of Australia.
Nature has made the tides very high for various reasons around there. It starts, say, round about Onslow as a modest tide of about 2 metres, increases all the way until you get to Broome. We've got rather a big tide there. Then it remains pretty large all the way round to Darwin and tails off. And by the time you get to Cape York, the tides are quite low again. It's to do with convergence on the sea floor and rotation of the Earth.
Is this technology used anywhere else in the world?
Yes, certainly. Lorentz Tidal Power Station in France was built in 1966, or opened in 1966, and until very recently, like 3-4 years ago, it was the largest tidal power station in the world. In 2010, the Chiba Lake Tidal Power Station opened in South Korea, and then there's a smaller one in Annapolis and another small one in China, and I believe a small one in Russia as well.
This technology is used in other countries. Why is Australia not adopting tidal energy?
Well, because of the tyranny of distance, which only recently we've been able to overcome that without huge transmission losses. One of the problems has always been, how do you get that electricity from the Kimberleys, which is pretty remote, to Perth, to Sydney, to Melbourne? And over the years, high voltage DC power lines have advanced, and now you could transmit power from the Kimberleys to Sydney and only have an 8% transmission loss. One of the big things with tidal power stations is that you borrow the capital to build them, and of course you have to pay interest for 40 years to pay it off. But at the end of 40 years, then the only expense is the operating and maintenance cost. That's why Lorentz produces the cheapest electricity in the whole of Europe.
The snag with tidal power is, as Ivan said, the capital cost. That's what's held it back. But, as things are going now, the capital charges are much less than they used to be. And I think also the federal government in the last budget, they did give some encouragement towards people developing power that was renewable.
In what ways can you approach the government to try and adopt this?
I've been harassing the government for years, both governments, Labor and Liberal, to investigate it further and do some research and put some sums together to see how good it can be. But I haven't had any positive responses as yet. The cost of the tidal power station is 1/3 of the cost of the nuclear power station, so certainly very competitive, and it lasts 3 times longer. So in the long run, it'll be cheaper than gas and cheaper than coal and cheaper than nuclear. So,
and a lot cleaner.
And a lot cleaner too. Absolutely.
Lucy Marchand, reporting for Undercurrent.